Dear vegan sugar lovers, here we are with another video. In this one, I saw it coming. The trend will be reversing. That's a good thing, actually, to have him join the community, Mark Smelly. And yeah, what are your thoughts on sugar? Is sugar still bad? Do you need to do a keto, low carb, high fat diet to be healthy and slim and efficient? Or maybe does the body need sugar? I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Let's see. I think the trend might be reversing. Yeah, we had Cole Robinson on his podcast of Mark Smelly, and now he's doing the sugar diet. And yeah, that's basically what Dougall has been teaching for like over 20 years now, and why sugar is good for you and it's not actually bad. Yeah, it doesn't cause diabetes and stuff like that. Basically, what is sugar? You gotta understand what sugar is. So sugar is basically the dried up juice of the sugar cane plant. So you could do any plant, yeah, just press out the juice and dry it up and form it into crystals. When it dries up, the sugar from the plant, it forms crystals. So basically, that's just dried sugar, dried plant juice, which is sweet. And then you can mix it back up with water, and then you get sugar water, and it's basically just cane juice. And your body needs sugar. Yeah, it doesn't differentiate between if it's sugar coming from pasta or rice or noodles or whatever, or bread, or if it's coming from the fruit. And on one side you will have glucose and fructose, and sugar is like a mix of the two. It's sucrose. It's 50% glucose, 50% fructose. So that what it is. Yeah, it doesn't. It's nothing special. It's it's nothing you can have too much of. It's self-limiting. By the way, yeah, try eat 1 kilogram of sugar. You won't be able to. Um, in contrary of fat, and the fat you eat is the fat you wear. So that's why he is advocating for a high sugar diet and a low fat diet in combination. If you want to lose fat, you gotta up your intake of sugar so you can be burning fat and sugar at the same time and keep your fat intake low. So you're in an overall fat deficit. Yes, and I have lost 20 kilos already. Um, Doing this, it takes a long time. Yeah, I know it takes hard work to lose the fat because you gotta burn the fat through exercise. Yeah, using oxygen, and that's not easy. I gotta go and push hard watts on the bicycle. Let's see what he has to say to this topic.
Smelly Bell, and many people know me as the Protein Fat Man. A lot of people have followed me. A lot of people have heard me talk about carnivore, keto, low carb lifestyle. I now have switched. I flipped the script, and now I'm mainly eating sugar. In this video, you're going to find out how I'm doing it and what it's doing for me and why I'm doing it. Catch you.
So you see, it's of course the keto lifestyle, low carb stuff. It's a trend. They wanna, like, industry is profiting from it. Yeah, animal products are expensive. They make a lot of money. Medicine also makes a lot of money because then you get illnesses that you have to treat and so on and so on. So the truth eventually will come out, and some people are willing to ride the truth boat.
You guys later. I posted a video yesterday about my buddy Cole Robinson getting his YouTube channel taken down. I just thought that was really interesting and noteworthy.
He got his channel taken down. Maybe I gotta look into it. Why? You see, so it's still not mainstream. Of course, it's everything besides mainstream, but it's catching on.
I don't know why it got taken down, but he's talking a lot about this sugar diet. The more that I look into it, the crazier and crazier it keeps getting. It's like, it seems like there's been a lie told on top of a lie, told on top of another lie, about our food and about kind of how the human body works. And it's interesting.
Of course, yeah, with the that you spike your insulin and stuff with the sugar and that causes the diabetes. Actually, that's not the problem, you know. The insulin spikes is not the problem, and the sugar spikes not the problem as long as the sugar comes back down. What's the problem is the fat in the diet that keeps the blood sugar high and prevents insulin from being active, from being efficient.
Interesting. And we all know too, we know the answer lies somewhere in the middle, right? But for people that are really trying to mitigate the weight that they've gained over so many years, they kind of need to take things to maybe more extreme measures. And that's where you end up with this sugar diet, where it's sugar in the absence of fat, but it's also somewhat in the.
That's very important. Sugar in the absence of fat. And we see all kinds of physicians now applying this. You can see it in the comments down below, in the description. Yeah, we have Dougall, we have Esselstyn, we have Barnard. We had Campbell in the 1930s. Going to talk about him.
Absence of protein. If you dig deep enough, you'll find something called the honey diet. And if you dig deeper, you'll find that in 1930.
That's where he's talking about Dr. Walter Campbell. Forgot the name, but I made a video about Walter Campbell before, the rice diet, the rice sugar diet. It was only rice, sugar, and fruit juice. Yeah, like 2,000 calories and about as little fat as possible.
There was a gentleman that was utilizing a very high carbohydrate, modest, really low, almost low protein diet.
Yeah, because fruit juice and sugar and rice has almost no protein. Yeah, it's like 6 grams of protein per 100 grams, so it's the lowest you can get. Even pasta has double the protein, almost.
That had, I think it was like 2% of the calories. 2% of the calories came from fat. And he was helping people with all kinds of disease, including diabetes. Also, I'll bring these names to you guys. I'll try to look them up a little bit better. I'm not.
Yeah, it's Dr. Walter Campbell.
Not remembering them all now since I'm just freshly learning some of these things. But there's another guy who discovered, he was the guy who figured out the difference between type 1 and type 2, sensitive and insensitive to insulin. The guy that discovered that actually was also curing people, not putting diabetes in remission, but actually fixing it. So there's a big difference. I think what's happening out there is that low carb, carnivore, these kind of interventions, I think they can really be super helpful for a lot of things.
It's hard to know what's going on in our bodies, and this DNA test from.
And despite Cole Robinson's passion, I do think that Dr. Shawn Baker, along with Paul Saladino and a lot of people and some of the messages I've shared about carnivore, keto, I think they're all really effective and all really important.
They're industry shills. Shawn Baker, Paul Saladino, and the other names he's talking about.
And I also have personally lost over 100 pounds utilizing those strategies. So how can I sit here and try to tell you like, hey, there's this new diet and this one works and the other ones are crap? That's not true.
Of course you can lose weight on keto, but you feel just miserable. And you feel miserable, yeah. And you can run into accidents and stuff. And you're being on the carb, man. If I go for a ride after 6 hours, imagine no carb intake. I can't push the watts anymore. I'm just desperate. I just want to go home and get something to eat. And that's the feeling you have if you go like half a day without eating. You're just going. Your sugar depletion is real.
This is another diet that can work. This is another option that can work. And I think you can be keto for a day. You could be vegan for a day. You could be carnivore for a day.
You can't be vegan for a day. You can eat plant-based for a day, but being vegan is like understanding the moral issue, you know. So that's a thing where the word veganism is sometimes misused. It means a plant-based diet, probably. That's what you can do for a day.
Or you could do it for a month, or you could do it for a week, or you can do it for a year, or you can have it be part of the rest of your life, right? And if you were to do
I feel better than ever, man. Before that, before doing the high carb, low fat diet, I was struggling with the gaming addiction and smoking and late nights and not being able to be focused and do what I want. I was looking for where to get the energy from, and this fixed my issues, Now I'm motivated. I have a perspective. I want to do stuff. I want to be places. There's always something to look out for. Motivation is there. Um, but when the sugar is low, the dopamine is low, and you don't have any drive anymore. Yeah, that goes away, and the self doubt and the thoughts start circling around. This is the flight or fight or flight mode gets activated. So yeah, it's pretty damaging.
Do that, if you actually think about it, what would that put you? That'd put you smack dab in the middle, wouldn't it, in terms of your macros? So if we tracked your macros for a year and you did the sugar diet, we tracked your macros for another year, or we tracked your macros the year before that, when, let's just say if you're tracking me and I did keto and carnivore, or really low carb, right? Where would my macros be? They would be the same as if somebody that was just counting their calories and being right in the middle the whole time. As much as I kind of hate to admit that's the truth of it. You're trying to figure out a way to divvy out your calories in a way that's reasonable. And I think what I'm excited about.
There's no way to accurately measure calories in, calories out. You don't know how much your body is absorbing from the food. You don't know accurately how much you're burning, how much oxygen you're burning, how much is in the food actually. There's like so many uncertainties that you can't accurately measure it. So just go by feel, just go by satiation and how much you can push on the bike.
And I think what people get excited about is when they find carnivore, they find keto, they're like, holy shit, I get to eat omelets, I get to eat bacon, I get to eat steaks and all these things. Now, there is a downside to that diet, but I think there might be a downside to every diet. So as I step into the sugar diet, I'm going to step carefully and try to do my best to share the information as I continue to learn it. But I got to admit,
at least kudos to him. He's not afraid of doing it. He will step into it and do it, and we'll see how it goes on.
I didn't really buy that saturated fat had like dangers to it. I still don't know how much I buy it. Like I don't necessarily buy that reasonable amounts of saturated fat can be harmful, but I do think for some people that good amounts of saturated fat or a lot of saturated fat can be harmful for your insulin sensitivity, which could trigger things like diabetes, which could trigger things also like heart disease. So
yeah, it's completely right about that. You don't need you don't need the fat that much. Like there's a 1 gram of fat in rice already per 100 grams, so that's plenty enough.
These are some of the things I'm finding and figuring out. I sent a bunch of information over to my boy Stan Efferding, who studies this stuff quite a bit. And Stan, as he's been studying this stuff religiously, he sent me all these different studies about how I want to say like 90% of people's 90% of the health benefits viewed by people's blood work, markers and indicators of their overall health, were increased almost strictly by their weight loss, and it didn't matter how they lost their weight. That's pretty compelling. That doesn't mean like dead stop, we never research anything else ever.
Yeah, losing weight is a big part of it, of course, but even slim people can have diabetes.
Again, but it's pretty compelling. So how you lose your weight. Obviously, there's like people that overexercise, and there's people that are just losing muscle mass and things like that. So that's not really what we're talking about here. We know that that's not great. But most people will get.
If you go off your cycle, of course you will lose muscle mass, but most of the people who lose weight actually lose fat. What else do you have to lose? Like, yeah, you lose a bit of muscle mass, But mainly if you're fat and you lose weight, you just lose fat.
Get the most amount of benefit from simply just losing weight, period. So that's why there's such a focus and emphasis on weight loss. And that's why I put that at kind of number one. It's like we have to figure out, and if that's going to be number one, then we have to try to figure out a way to like manage the calories and manage your energy out. What I think I'm finding on the sugar diet is that it makes me just want to fucking go. It makes me just
Oh, there he comes. That's right. Yeah, on the sugar diet, you have the motivation. You don't want to lay in bed all day just waiting for the next meal to be like a mere measly steak. You can eat as much as you care for, and then you can push as much as you care for. That's why that's what every pro cyclist is doing. Every pro sportsman is doing that, you know. And what are they for? They're just there for giving the maximum performance.
want to work. And then when I work, it makes me want to work even harder than normal. And I'm just noticing that I'm working at like better paces. I'm starting to feel a little bit stronger again. I'm feeling more jacked. You may have even noticed it in my physique. It's small changes because I'm already pretty lean and stuff.
Yeah, of course you feel more jacked because the muscle stores glycogen. So the more sugar you eat, the more pumped up your muscles look. Of course, that's what bodybuilders do before the competition. They sugar up to fill the muscles with glycogen.
Stuff, but there's small changes that are happening. And I was 211 pounds this morning. I was 212 like a day or two ago. So the weight is kind of continuing to trend downward. It's pretty slow. I've been doing this for 8 weeks, but there's not a crazy amount of body fat for me to lose. So it's going to take time. But you know, one of the goals is to have some striations in the legs and maybe even striations in the calves. I don't know how far I'll be able to take it before it starts to get too weird. But I think that my body will continue to improve. I think aesthetically it will continue to improve as I dive into this a little bit deeper.
Hey everybody, it's Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi.
It's been super interesting. So I made this post. This was this morning. And this is my breakfast. It was actually my breakfast yesterday, but
That's so good. Yeah, you can have just sweets for breakfast. Of course, you can have sweets for breakfast. Yeah, if you're vegan, make sure there's no gelatin in it. We don't want to promote animal suffering and abuse, but yeah, that's typical. Yeah, I would recommend maybe a smoothie, you know, fruit, but sweets are fine. That's like pure sugar. If you want some vitamins, yeah, then go for fruit.
it's Instagram, so you just pretend that it was today. But anyway, I had some Sour Patch Kids. I ate like, I don't know, 10 or 20 of them, and I ate a couple handfuls of these Starburst jelly beans. I also had like 8 ounces of apple juice before my work.
So much apple juice, man. That's good. That's good to hear that. I'm really on this side. It gives you a boost of energy, you know, if you have like heavy carbs in the morning, like pasta or rice or stuff, it's harder to digest. So I wouldn't really recommend that. If you want to feel light in the morning, go for fruit, go for sweets, lollies, stuff like that. Sugar water, juice, that's all good. It digests really quickly, gives you boost and energy. Kudos.
Workout. Now, keep in mind, I like to work out often. And so before that, I did a Peloton workout. I did like 30-minute Peloton workout. And I did the same thing today. I did a 15-minute Peloton workout, and it was more of a HIIT training Peloton workout just on the bike. And got done with that. Then had these sugars, just did the workouts, I guess you'd say fasted. Ate plenty of carbs the night before, so I felt like I had a good amount of rocket fuel in me.
That's all already also very important, yeah, to fuel up on the evening before that. Fuel up with a high amount of carbs. That means it's carb loading. So in the morning, your carb stores are already pretty full and not emptied by the night.
Me to get through that workout and to put have good output on those workouts. But those workouts feel easier. They feel a little bit better to me. So I also want to make it clear that when I was doing keto, carnivore, low carb type stuff, that I never felt bad, but I didn't really realize this almost reminds me of when I started to mess around with electrolytes. I started to take some electrolytes like during or in the middle of a workout when I was doing those styles of diets. I just was I had so much more oomph to me. I had so much more that I could give in the middle of the workout. Now it feels like I have even more to give. And so I was not feeling shitty or crappy doing those other diets. But when I was in the middle of a workout, I kind of felt like, I want to go home. I kind of felt like I didn't
Of course, if you're low on energy, what else do you want to do?
have as much to give. It wasn't like I didn't have good output, but it was, I'd get in the middle of the workout and it felt like I couldn't keep up with like the duration or the intensity for too long, basically. But yeah, I posted this up, and sometimes it's to be like a little inflammatory, catch some, catch people's attention. But I do clearly state in here, and no one's going to actually read the whole thing, right? But I did actually state in here, like, I'm not eating this every morning. This is not like my staple breakfast. I just happened to do it over the last 2 days because it ended up being pretty convenient. But
Doesn't matter if it's a staple breakfast. You've done it, you've tried it, and it worked for you.
I think despite what people have been saying, I think that refined sugar, it's like hard to say it flat out, but I think refined sugar might be totally fine.
Of course, it's totally fine. Oh, it's refined. What does it mean? What's the refining process in the sugar? It means there's no chemicals added to it. Nothing. No bleaching agent. Nothing. It just refined. It's good.
And sugar in general.
Let's delve into it. Refined sugar. I watched it, some documentary about, in German it's called Die Maus oder so, and they explained the refining process, and it wasn't nothing like out of this world. Undergone refining process. Okay, what's a refining process with the sugar refinery, and how did they do it? History of the refining process. Raw sugar processing. So here you have the yellow sugar, and then you have pressure filtration, decolorization, evaporation. Oh yeah, okay, centrifugation, granulation, and packaging and storage. Okay, so you have the purification, all clarification, and mixing the melted liquor with hot milk of lime, calcium hydroxide. Okay, it's okay. A suspension of calcium hydroxide in water. The treatment precipitates a number of impurities. Yeah, so refining means you make it like as pure as possible in the end. Okay, then evaporation. The decolorized liquor is then fed to an evaporator. So you want to make it as pure as possible, basically. And then crystallization. So you have the nice crystals. Granulation. Sugar is individual sugar grains do not clump together, and this is achieved by drying. Then you dry it, and that's it. So we have added one chemical here, which is calcium hydroxide, to bind all the stuff that we don't want in the sugar, and then we are only left with glucose and fructose, and along with the amino acid glutamine, to chemically stable carboxyl acids. Read it through. You will see there's no bleaching, there's no refined sugar. Is totally fine. It's just like the pure sugar, you don't have then all the minerals, the vitamins, and the bad stuff also that's possibly in the sugar, like sulfate and phosphate and citrate and oxalates. Okay, there you have it. We keep on here.
Might just be totally fine in all forms. There are things to think about. I mean, junk food is junk food. These things have citric acid in them, and that along with sugar is not great for your teeth.
The sugar itself is not acidic, so it's not bad for your teeth. Everything else that's acidic with the citric acid, yeah, you got to be careful. Drink lots of water to keep your mouth hydrated and um, wash away the acidity.
So there's some health concerns around some of these things, but in terms of plaque, in terms of libido, in terms of like all these different things that we're looking at for markers of health or diabetes, these things are not going to hurt those things. They might potentially have a particular impact on some people that maybe are already compromised. So that's something to kind of consider. That's something to kind of look at. And so, as always, you want to try to proceed with caution. But for me, this is feeling amazing. I'll just give you a list of some of the foods that I've been eating. But I'm not having any protein and I'm not having any fat during the day. It's usually later on in the evening. Sometimes it might be as early as like 3 or 4 p.m. Usually trying to stick it like 5, 6, 7 p.m. is when I eat my proteins. My proteins are very lean sources of protein. 99% lean turkey. I'm trying to be pretty strict with it. 93.7 lean ground beef might be mixed in to.
Yeah, that's where we disagree. So you don't need that stuff. Why would you need the protein? And then if you need some protein, you can get it from like vegan sources easily, like beans and lentils and what have not.
Like 2 pounds of that turkey to give it some fat, and then also to keep it super lean and add flavor through the beef.
Like if you eat rice already, you have like so much protein in it. Like it's the lowest you can get, yeah, but there's already enough protein in it, and there's even fat in it. You even have 1 gram of fat in rice and like 6 grams of protein in rice. So that's, to me, it's plenty.
And I'll throw taco seasoning on there and some fajita, like vegetables, and it's awesome. I also did the same thing with like a stir fry, made it like an Asian dish, and it was absolutely awesome. Might eat that with heated and cooled rice or heated and cooled potatoes, heated and cooled stuff. You can watch Thomas.
Okay, I think we can cut it here. He's gonna be talking about what he eats, which is interesting. If you want to watch the rest, just go on to his channel. I hope you get the message. I think the script is turning probably. Yeah, if like some influencers like him are already swapping to the sugar diet, how many more are to come? Or is he going back? I don't know. But it looks like we might be entering a new era. Of course, there's like still big forces pushing against it, pushing for you to be unhealthy and low energy, so you have to use energy drinks and drive the bus and drive the car and not be like independent and ride your bike and use as much as less resources as possible, because the bike is one of the most efficient transports out there. And also eating like the cheapest foods, like vegan foods are the cheapest, high carb low fat foods are the cheapest. It's also the best for your morals, for your conscience, and for the environment. Okay, thanks for watching. I hope to see you in the next video.